all built by the colonists, all built by the settlers, and that's it. He's done. Okay? That's where he's wrong. You know, the work that he did identifying the stone, well, that's good work. Nothing wrong with that. But he's wrong about his premise. So this is what we're saying. We're not saying that these people are incompetent fools or whatever it is, because that's ridiculous. You know, these stupid, primitive people are going to say stupid things like that. You know, I don't say he's wrong about that stuff. That's a yeoman's work and doing the work. But he's wrong with his premise, okay, because of all the questionability about it. Okay, things that don't make sense. So anyway, I just wanted to put that correction in there. Um, for the first video, and revise the numbers and talk about it a little bit again. These numbers were extrapolated in 1936 to try to make sense of the stone walls. They can't tell, even to this day, even with satellite photographs, they can't tell how many miles. Nobody's out there with a tape measure measuring them. Barbara DeLong says it's an underestimate. I agree with her, based on my own hands-on, work with it and whatnot. It doesn't make sense. The walls don't make sense. The way Mallory's set up doesn't make sense in the context, the colonial context, like Jim Vieira says. It just doesn't. With the runty walls, there's obviously mounds there. My second video, if you haven't seen it, on the stone walls of New England, the Connecticut Mallory Trail area there. The second video starts out, I'm on a man-made mound. Hands down. I'm 95% sure that was man-made mound. So in any case, watch my videos there if you haven't seen it, and start thinking about this stuff, and think about what I said here today, okay? Okay? After looking at this better and seeing what Barbara DeLong says, it's an underestimate. Maybe there's double that, enough to go around the earth 20 times, more stonework than any other site on earth, not a mention in the diaries of any farmers, and they admit it. They admit there's no mention in any diaries, these big building stone walls forever. No mention of it, just mending stone walls in the Robert Frost poetry, which is very quaint, very romanticized. It's very romantic to look at history that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure the settlers did that. The people who lived there did that. There's nothing wrong with that, but, how does it take away? This is my issue with it. If there was some other civilization there before the Indians got there, before the settlers and colonists got there, or maybe the Indians were there first and these people came along later and put haplogroup X in there, which goes throughout the United States from East Coast to West Coast. Only the Indians of the United States have haplogroup X. The Inuits don't have it. The South American Indians don't have it. I was reading a history, okay, here on Long Island in a research book in a library from Stony Brook University Archaeological Department, okay, and I was reading some books here, and it said in there, the first people to come to Long Island and see the Indians here on Long Island, where I'm at, for the first time, said the first thing they noted is how much taller the Indians were than they were. That was their comment, okay? These are the research books that you can't take out of the library, okay? They stay in the library all the time. You're not allowed to take them out because that's the serious stuff, okay? So in any case, look, I've looked deeply into this thing. The demographics, the logistics don't really support the notion that all of these walls were built by these people in such a short time frame, which I neglected to mention in the last video. I should have. When you look at the time period allowed to build 240,000 or more miles of stone walls and everything else, all this other stonework, not only that, okay, it doesn't jive up, okay? And we're going to keep looking into this because the arguments these people that make to support the notion that only colonists and, settlers built these stone walls doesn't bear out the facts, actually. Okay? So, as I said, how does this take away from the, if anything, it adds to the Native American Indians' histories. Let's say their ancestors actually, in Brien Foerster's recently video, he said how the Paracas cone head, skull people, the Paracas mummies down there. He did a blood analysis of it down there, and he says to those people down there, in his estimate or whatever, the Indians there have two distinct ancestors. One of, this Asian ancestry and whatnot, and another of unknown ancestry, because the blood types don't match up with the rest of the South American Indians. Okay? So I'm saying here that, maybe the first time you're hearing it or whatever, but yes, indeed, maybe the Indians' ancestors are responsible for all the stonework and all the effigies and all the other stuff, but ancestors you're not thinking about in the same sort of frame of mind. They're thinking strictly the Asian ancestors who came over, but there's this other group, possibly giant humanoids, possibly the survivors of an Atlantis. That's my theory about it. We can talk about that later on. But, this can only add to, the Native American age. Let's say they have some other ancestor of completely different DNA that has this haplogroup X marker in their genes. Only American Indians throughout the United States, from East Coast to West Coast, have the haplogroup X marker in 2%. All right? Some of their ancestry may come from these other people, these other... How does it take away? It doesn't take anything away from the colonists. It doesn't take anything away from the settlers. How hard they worked, their struggles. How does it take away from that? It's ridiculous. What are you, 12 years old? Come on. How does it take away from the Indians? Yes, the ancestors did it, but unknown ancestors to them. Unrecognized, unrealized. Maybe they have the DNA in them from the survivors of Atlantis. That only adds to their, amazing individuality. Okay? So... Again, I really just wanted to stick to logistics. Look at this stuff, folks. When you break this all down into the demographic and everything, there were very few people at that time out there doing farming. They were doing it as, subsistence farmers on rented property. And, look. People lived in major cities throughout these counties, throughout Dutchess and Ulster and all. Everybody had a town where they had a blacksmith and a carpenter and shopkeepers and functionaries and all of these people. Just like it is today. A lot of people live in cities, and there's people out doing farming by the millions. But the millions is what? The 300 million, And so, whatever. I'm just saying. So, look. We're going to go on. We're going to do a part 3, but I just wanted to go through this stuff for you guys. And I'm going to give some links in here. My deal with Thorson, too, is that he's a geologist, all right? He's not an anthropologist. He's not an archaeologist, all right? He identified the stone walls. He has other good stuff that he came in there. He's coming from the premise of the Ice Age. And I'm under the belief that there maybe not have been an Ice Age the way we think about it or whatever, based on the work of Velikovsky, based on the work of other people who looked into this. And there's other reasons for this kind of, broken rock all over the planet and, things covered in feet of mud and all this kind of, they're saying, they buried the Göbekli Tepe. That's highly unlikely. I don't care what these guys from Megalithomania say. I don't care who it is. Probably unlikely that is. They're just covered by mud, the mud flood. Half of Russia is covered, the first floor of all these buildings. All the buildings. In places like St. Petersburg, all the buildings in the whole area have the first floor of all the buildings are covered up to that, in dirt, in mud, and nobody knows why. That happened in the past few hundred. Nobody knows why. There's no history on it, no thing, nothing. Nobody can explain it. Everywhere over there. So, look. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. All right, I'm going to put, and, as a matter of fact, the stuff about the Ice Age and everything, Harry Hubbard goes into it in one of his videos. I'm going to put the link in there for that. And the other thing I wanted to mention here, too, and I'm going to put the link in for this, is this Algonquin Legends of New England I'm sorry, I'm moving the camera around over here. Algonquin Legends of New England, Native American Indian Legends, Part 1. It's an audio box book, an audio book, okay, here on YouTube. I'm going to put that in there. And that's by this guy, Charles Godfrey Leland, who did this study in 1882, and he sort of put Schoolcraft to task on all this kind of stuff because he only took the legends of the Iroquois and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, this is about the Micmac people and the Algonquin peoples, and this fellow said, you know, he did a study of it back in 1882, and just to sort of give you an idea, he seemed to imply that, you know, the Algonquin legends and stories that he collected at that time were much richer than anything that Schoolcraft happened, and how they mimicked the tales of the Norsemen. Okay, so that's not a new idea or a, you know, tinfoil hat idea that's just come up with the internet or anything. This guy Leland in 1882 was considering that there may have been this diffusion happening in Greenland between Nordic people and the Inuit peoples over there, and this sort of, you know, diffusion and dispersion of these stories and ideas. And this guy was explaining in this audio book here about how there's so many similarities between Norse mythology and Algonquin mythology, okay? Even back at that time, okay? And this guy wasn't a crank. He was a serious guy. You can look him up and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to include that in there. And, you know, naturally, the legends of the Algonquin Indians start with giants, okay? I'm not going to even tell you about all the actual occurrences of giants and Native American people in the Northeast recorded by the agents of the Dutch East India Company and all the agents of the British government who came here in order to communicate. You know, see, you have to understand how this works. You know, they came here, they saw the resources, they saw what was going on with the Indians, and they figured out a way right away how to take advantage of the resources here by exploiting the Indians with their knickknacks and stuff like that. And the fur trade was really the chief industry here up until the 1700s. It wasn't until in the middle of the 1700s there where you had these subsistence farmers coming over to rich Dutch landowners and renting these subsistence plots from them. And you have to understand a lot about that. So anyway, I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys have a great holiday. I'm going to conclude some great video links in the description here. I want you to look at that stuff if you kindly would. If you're a first time, you know, watcher, please subscribe, please like. You know, we're going to get into this deeper, folks. Tell me, you know, I have studied what the mainstream, you know, academia has to say on the history of this subject. And, you know, we're going to put them to task on this stuff. Okay, because it's not jiving up. All right? So, until the next time, you guys have a great holiday. As I said, wherever you are in the world, just peace and love to everybody. We got to get to the truth of things. Enough fraud and lies and people preying on each other, because that's what this friggin' world is about. And we got to get our history correct, because we got to know where we came from in order to know where we're going to. If we don't know that, it's all a lie and a fraud. You can only imagine what kind of trouble we're going to get ourselves into. Okay? This is what it is, you know. You're waiting for Jesus to come back on a white horse. Well, he's not coming back on a white horse. God's kingdom comes not with observation, okay? Good is coming back, because people are sick of fraud and deceit and lies. Whatever religion you are, you're waiting for the Messiah, you're waiting for Allah's golden kingdom, you're waiting for Buddha, and you're waiting for whatever it is, okay? It's goodness and truth that is coming back. That's what's coming back, okay? Because people are sick of the lies, right? It's a time like in the times of Noah, right? So, you know, don't look for a white horse in the sky, because the goodness that comes, you know, the God is good, right? So the age of goodness has to come, of truth and goodness. That's what everybody wants, no matter who they are. That's what it means. Don't look in the sky for a guy. It happens in you. That's where it happens, okay? So peace, my brothers and sisters, and, you know, next time we'll get into this even more, all right? So, Budcat7 signing out. See you the next time, guys. Thank you very much.